Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this is 5 p.m. It's Zoom. We have Nicholas, David, Shawn, and myself. Go ahead, Nick.
Thursday the 19th, and we're all like, what on earth is going on? We're just trying to process this, I guess. This is something we've never seen before. And I think for those of us who've been, you know, or like to think we've been paying attention, we've been awake for a few years. This is new, and we're trying to process what happened. And I think connecting with our tribe at this time is really important to stay connected and process what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So you guys wouldn't know this, but I'm kind of a gamer. I like to kill. That's how I get my rocks off. I'm a killer, a secret assassin. No, but it's kind of funny because, you know, I deal with people all over the world. So, you know, a few days ago, I did ask them all, hey, what are you guys seeing? You know, where are you and what are you seeing? And so, you know, we have players that range all around the world. And we have one guy in Liechtenstein. Now, if you looked up in Liechtenstein 3 days ago, there was like apparently one case, maybe somewhere near Liechtenstein, and they were on lockdown. Denmark, lockdown. Woo, we got feedback. New Zealand, lockdown. England, oh my God, pretty much. Yeah, really bad. My daughter is in Spain and she videoed an interaction. Her and her boyfriend went out to go do laundry and 4 cops on 4 horses, like the 4 horses of the apocalypse, came over and told them that they were not allowed to be on the street together. 4 cops telling 2 people they can't be together. I mean, just make sense of that. And then they told her ultimately that she had to return home and her boyfriend had to go do laundry by himself. So it's crazy.
Yeah, as you said earlier, it's like a big test for how we react. And something David said earlier was like how the authorities will act, like to what point will they direct us and have interactions like that.
I've seen one violent interaction. I did see on a video. I'm not sure if the guy's name's Ryan or Brian. Anyway, I do watch his videos. I know his voice. I don't know his name, but he did have on there a police interaction where the police were telling people to get off the street and was kind of threatening them and telling them that groups of people on the street were creating a health hazard. So that was pretty wild.
Mm.
Yeah. People. So just for the people watching, wherever this video goes, what is it? So we're in California. I'm in Northern California, and there's like a worldwide quarantine that's happening. And so in where I'm at, they only allow you to go out for essential services. And I saw Governor Newsom saying, "We're calling for this. We're calling for that." So I'm not sure it's like a law. He did say like martial law. It's a possibility. And all these other, I think it was the 14 states have shut down bars, clubs, lounges. It was the county of Santa Clara outlawed 1,000 people gathering together, and there was 150, and now I think it's 10 people. So yeah, so you're showing the screen about you know, what is the legal authorities.
Yeah, I want to give you an idea of the legal authorities. So the CDC gets its authority from the Commerce the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. So you can look here. So the federal government derives its authority for isolation and quarantine from the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution under Section 361 of the Public Health Service Act, 42 U.S. Code 264. The U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services is authorized to take measures to prevent the entry and spread of communicable diseases from foreign countries into the United States and between the states themselves. So that in itself is kind of interesting when you look at it. I want to give you an idea, the difference between the words isolation and quarantine, because we are playing, you know, word games here. Isolation separates sick people with a quarantinable, communicable disease from people who are not sick. So if you're not sick, you should not be isolated. Also, quarantine separates and restricts the movement of people who are exposed to a contagious disease to see if they become sick. So if you have not come into contact with somebody, which obviously that may be difficult to know, but technically speaking, your freedoms should not be restricted if it is unknown whether you have come in contact. So that's one aspect. Another legal jargon that you want to be kind of aware of is the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic. Pandemic just means it's widespread and maybe covers a lot of people. Usually there's a two-prong, widely spread. Of course, they spread it when they moved people from Wuhan and repatriated them back into the United States. They spread the disease. That's one way of looking at it. Epidemic means it's out of control. So they're not saying this is out of control. So, you know, just to keep it where it's real. Another word that comes up is the word novel, right? They keep calling it a novel coronavirus. Novel, you know, look that one up.
Yeah, I was curious to how that word was popping up and what exactly it meant.
It's super interesting, especially in medical terms. The word novel means that it is basically created.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I do have it right here. I can read it to you. It's short. Novel, and this is according to the medical dictionary. Intellectual property, it's an adjective referring to that which is new or original, i.e. the invention must never have been made in public in any way, anywhere before the date on which the application for a patent is filed.
Whoa.
So the word novel is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out why they're shutting the schools down, man. Like, and then I saw something about like an 18-month thing. First, I saw like 2 weeks, and then like 2 to 6 weeks or something. And I'm like, what? And I saw the Fed injected like 1.5 trillion into, you know, the markets here. Like, what are they doing this for? You know, like, so I'm curious, Shawn, what you think, and Jackie and Nick, like some of the things, because like you said, multi-pronged. I like that term. I think that's they're gonna not waste any type of crisis, and you know, it's like they're activating their enforcers, their goons who will just obey orders. I think they're conditioning us like a 9/11 trauma, you know, situation. It's like, oh my gosh, remember? I'm like projecting in the future a little bit later, like 5 years. Oh, we don't want another coronavirus. Oh, now we're going to lock down everybody because of this. And so there's all these different facets, but I don't know. I think because human consciousness was increasing, internet, vaccines, all these like resistance movements and awakenings, they just kind of slapped it down and said, nope, we're in charge. And, you know, kind of the low deaths considerably, you know, comparable with tuberculosis and the seasonal flu and medical neglect. Like the CV19 is super low risk, you know, it seems to be to me, but they're throwing it down. So I don't know if you guys have any like insights or what you see happening. Is it gonna be 2 weeks? Is 2 months? 18 months? Like if it's 18 months, my God, dude, what is this place, man? Like there's nowhere to go. They're shutting down all the borders.
Well,
Sorry, go on, Shawn. What are you thinking? What do you think on this?
So when he mentioned the schools, recently I have seen a video. It was pretty recent, within the last few days. It looks like it's a high school in Wisconsin. And it was a bunch of installer vans. And they called one of the companies in the video, the number was listed on the van, and asked them if they were there at the school for the COVID-19, and they said no. And he goes, "Are you there for 5G?" And the company hung up on him. So there is some speculation that that they're using empty schools right now to install 5Gs in the classrooms and stuff.
That's interesting.
Which rolls along with the timeline of the 5G perfectly.
What do you think, Nick?
I've definitely heard that theory of 5G amongst many theories. I think the public is so clueless to 5G that they wouldn't necessarily need to shut down schools or create this pandemic to install 5G. I expect many of us have heard the theory of 5G activating metal particulates in our bloodstream from vaccines. I mean, that's a really out there theory that I don't dismiss, but I also struggle to comprehend that one. But I think what something David mentioned earlier about the vaccine injury movement, man, it is going to be crushed right now, because how do we go back on the street and wave our signs and try and raise awareness over vaccine injury when the public now is going to be clamoring for a vaccine?
Oh, they're going to
everybody I talk to, oh, there's going to be a vaccine, we're going to be okay, don't worry. It's that could be that could be, I mean, there was a huge awakening going on surrounding vaccines, it's kind of sad to see where this might be now. I didn't get a chance to watch Del Bigtree today. I'm going to try and catch up with the High Wire and see what he had to say about this.
So here's one of the things that I saw. If you remember early on in this, Trump was dismissing it. He was very dismissive in regards to the coronavirus and stating things like flu statistics very much the same way that we saw at Acapulco, right? I mean, there's this whole idea of comparing it with the flu. And then he kind of got slammed on it. So I'm seeing a real political change in him. He then twisted it to fit his agenda, right? He said, okay, if I'm going to have to go along with this coronavirus being real and being a pandemic and being as bad as all these people say, then, oh my God, I need to shut down the borders. And here was another thing. Remember now, Trump was also a pro-homeschooler, or at least a charter schooler. So now we're seeing, the shutdown of schools. Another thing that we're seeing that I find very interesting is the shutdown of our county governments. I do find that interesting. We are used to seeing the shutdown of the federal government. We've never really seen the shutdown of county governments before. And I think this is a political agenda that we've been seeing with the UN coming in. This is something I've been, I wrote about back in 2008 because I saw the sheriff disappearing. And what I'm seeing is the UN kind of coming in as the savior of all this, the theft of our houses. We're also seeing a slowdown on foreclosures, unlawful detainers stopping, and people are not being taken to jail. So we're seeing some really interesting things that are going on. And here's where I see a backfire. If you keep people out of school for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we know it takes about 3 weeks to create a habit. People will now start to be in the habit of not going to school, which is fantastic. They will also adjust in order to cope, to have kids at home. They will, start to rearrange their lives to cope with that. And then when it becomes time to go back to school, I think you're going to see a bunch of people say, I ain't going. We're not taking our kids back to school. We like the curriculum as it is. And I think we're going to see the end of schools as we've been seeing them. And I think it's about time. So I'm looking at this from a really positive standpoint.
Do you think that was, do any of you guys follow the QAnon type releases and information?
No, I don't.
I mean, I have a lot of friends.
Yeah, I have some friends that follow it and they're like fully convinced. And, but I think ultimately it promotes apathy and outsourcing your power. Yeah. So I hope it's real. I hope there's some internal dudes who are going to do all this stuff and do all these great things. However, if you trust the government at this point, 2020, after seeing all the history in the last, 100 years, 50 years, 20 years, 9/11, all this stuff, it's like, am I really going to put my hope in those guys? Some statists, that's the other thing too. It's like, they're still statists. They're still stuck in the, yes, we have the authority because we gave ourselves the authority and you didn't consent to it, but we're still going to do it for you. So I like the dream of that, but I think ultimately it's going to be self-reliance, us talking together. We've known each other for a little while. We're like, okay, like building communities, maybe in real life, like we went up to North State, doing that stuff. And I'm on another thread in Telegram, and they're talking about the same thing. They're like, man, where are we going to go? This and that. And so, kind of building up what to do with your money, get your monies out of the bank. I just saw something. I don't know if you guys saw this. Literally, I saw it like an hour ago. The Federal Reserve has reduced the required reserves. It used to be around 10%, maybe 9 or 10%, to 0%. So if you deposit, or if a bank has, let's say, $1 million in deposits, they got to keep $100,000 in cash. But now, and I'll have to send you the link or the image that I got. It now says 0%. So it could be also maybe, Jacquie, you think this is the dollar collapse, or Shawn, what do you think? Like this is the collapse of the dollar, or like eventually, because they got to get the global currency, they got to get that thing in there. It's like,
well, that's what I was saying. That's why I wanted to show you. This is about the Commerce Clause. No matter what we look at, this is not about health. This is about the economy. This is primarily economic. It's an economic breakdown. And they're using this story of a pandemic, which I really believe is a test. I think we look at the event 201, as we know, was occurring 4 months ago. And then I don't think that's ended. Look at all the CEOs that stepped down. They all knew that the crash is coming. They all have shares. So they can't sell their shares while they're still CEOs. So of course they have to step down, sell their shares, and then here comes the collapse. So I think all those people just know what's going on and we didn't. And it's a collapse, definitely.
I think that's a highly plausible explanation for what's going on, because the bubble was way overdue. Yeah. And what a perfect excuse for the economy to implode.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the virus. It's not the continual printing of money. It's not this terrible federal system. It's the virus that doesn't even kill anybody. And then they can change the history books and then come in with a solution. Because when the dollar crashes, actually, that's going to be a really strategic, vulnerable moment for the state and the cabal, because they're going to have to insert another currency. And so this kind of brings up the Bitcoin question. Is Bitcoin legit? And it seems like it is, but I don't know, man. Like getting some silver, getting some assets in hand.
Remember, silver's going down. Silver and gold has just taken a dive, which is kind of interesting. So wonder about that. And this is not just about the dollar. We're seeing Europe. Europe is really heavily affected by this. I'm not hearing anything about Africa. South America doesn't seem too worried about it. I mean, this is fascinating. This is a worldwide event.
Do you know what happened to the Chinese currency?
I know. I have no clue.
Yeah, I've been following, there were some people that I followed for a while, like Peter Schiff of Euro Pacific Capital. He was one of Ron Paul's kind of guys, and Max Kaiser. I used to follow Max for a long time, and I just discovered him last night at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I was on YouTube, and I didn't realize he was a huge Bitcoin proponent. And Peter Schiff, of course, has always been, buy silver and gold, and his investment strategy has been a disaster. But maybe it's his time right now. I don't know.
Yeah, silver was looking at $12. Gold's like at $1,400.
So actually, even though spot price on silver is like $12, the premiums are up there right now. Okay. So if you're going to try and buy silver, it's going to end up costing you about $17 an ounce, if you can find it.
If you can find it.
Two of the biggest sites are SD Bullion and JM Bullion, and you can just go in there and look, and like everything is sold out.
Yeah, I heard it was very difficult to buy.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. Is you can't find silver, which is suspicious. If it's high demand, the price should be high. And I can't remember the guy's name, but there's been guys who've been studying the manipulation of silver and gold, because they're such an indicator of the economy and basic value of currencies. And so if they can manipulate the price, then they can manipulate perception and do their OPEC oil cartels, and everything's in the petrodollar. And I think those are definitely manipulated, but you can't find some of that stuff.
So for every ounce of either physical gold, metal, silver, anything like that, there's paper contracts out there. So for every ounce, there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of paper contracts. And the paper contracts are what's traded on the stock exchanges, GLD and SLV. And right now, they're selling all their GLD and SLV to cover all their margin calls from trying to make money in the stock market, but losing it. And so they're selling off gold and silver right now, which is dropping the price. However, it's only dropping the theoretical price. So you got to look at the spot price as theoretical, because as we see now, you can't go out and actually buy an ounce of silver for spot price right now. So it's only a theoretical price. Another interesting thing on the economy is that after 74, after we got taken off the gold standard, which happened in 33 and 1974, we got put on the petrodollar. And ever since 1974, our military power and taking over oil in all these countries has put our economy in the leadership. Every country to trade oil has to buy US dollars to trade oil. With the oil prices at, what, $22 a barrel now, which means our gas prices should be back down under $1.
Really?
I mean, we're getting back down to like 1980 prices. 1980 prices. So with that, you know, that's going to cause some serious turmoil, not only in the economy, but in the matter of powers of countries. I forecast, just like every other time we've had a depression or recession, great wars have followed. Now, are we at war with the coronavirus, or are we going to be at war with whoever is devaluing our petrodollar? And so that's something to really keep an eye on, and make sure everybody's prepared, because if we have another war, it's not going to be pretty.
Mm-hmm. Shawn, how do you feel about the actual virus itself? Do you feel that it's as bad as people are making out, or is it just being hyped beyond all imagination here?
Part of me does think it's bad, and part of me doesn't. So, and then along that lines, whether it's real or not, the implications of the control measures by government is real. And, you know, a lot of people are religious, doesn't matter what religion. However, government is now a religion. And whenever you worship a false idol, you know, God's not going to save you. So what I mean by that is, you know, if you're detained or quarantined, God's not going to save you. And it's the same way, God's not going to save you if your house is being repossessed because you couldn't pay your property taxes. You worship that false idol, and you gave power to the government, and that government will take that power back anytime they choose to and exert their power and force, you know?
Yeah.
So I think this might be a really good awakening. You know, I see it as a positive, that people have relied on government institutions to educate their children, institutions to take care of all their problems. And they're going to realize soon, you know, if supermarkets run out of food and they go to the National Guard line to get their food, they're going to realize, oh my God, you know, I've been paying so much money all this time, and now they're not there for me, you know, just like in the mortgage crisis. People realized that the government was not there for them. And you know, when you take something away from somebody else to give to somebody else, you know, it's just not a fair system from the start. We all know that. Yep. But I think more people are going to awaken to the control and the tyranny really soon.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm torn on the virus. I surrounded by people who are petrified by catching it. I just bumped into a neighbor and she like reared away from me, like, no, stand your ground, Nick. You know, don't even. Seriously, we were out.
Yeah, people won't shake my hand, dude. I'm like, oh my God, relax, dude.
Yeah. It's really hard to. I mean, because we all seen these statistics on the internet, and I read someone posted something about the average age of people who are actually dying from this virus in Italy, and they were all in their 80s practically. So were these people compromised already? Did they have weakened immune systems already? Who really is being affected by it? And
it was a 21-year-old soccer coach from Spain. That was kind of a shocker. But he had underlying leukemia.
I read that story. Yes, he didn't even know that he had leukemia.
I had a leukemia, yeah.
Until he succumbed, and they discovered that he had that.
Yeah.
I'll give you a really interesting perspective right now. So first of all, United States had limited test kits. You can look that up, but they finally have
no test kits anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're finally getting test kits, and right now across the U.S. there is limited sun, so people aren't getting their vitamin D. We're in a fast food nation, so they have poor nutrition, and add on top of poor nutrition, lack of sun, and all the fear propaganda out there, and people are naturally just going to get sick.
Yep.
And if they get some sniffles and a cough and a cold, which would naturally come on anyway, when your nutrition's not up and you're not getting enough sun and you're full of fear or anger, you're naturally going to get sick. And all these people are going to be going out and getting tested. And there's no guarantee about the rate of testing if there's testing for false positives.
And another thing I want to say on that subject, back to jurisdiction and the law, the CDC or federal isolation and quarantine are authorized for the certain communicable diseases. Those are cholera, diphtheria, infectious TB, plague, smallpox, yellow fever, viral hemorrhagic fevers, severe acute respiratory syndromes, and flu that can cause a pandemic. So the narrative fits the regulatory requirements. I just want to emphasize that to people and be aware that if you are not, from another country, if you are not crossing borders, really there are no requirements for you to have to stay in. It may be recommended. I'm more worried about the legal side of this for people. I think people are in fear, and I can't imagine what's going to happen Monday. So Monday we're looking at a lockdown, which is why I wasn't going to head up north. So just that you know, Nick, Trump has just released something saying he's going to be closing the roads, but we were expecting this because we know somebody in the National Guard, and they've been told Monday. So
in my local newspaper, it was saying, we were being told to stay in place.
Yeah.
With a threat of a fine or jail. It actually had that in print. And I don't know how legal is that actually a legal?
A woman was fined 3,000 euros for jogging on a beach in Marbella. You're going to be seeing that here. Yes, they are going to be trying to implement it, and that's why I wanted to point out those laws for the CDC and isolation and quarantine. Technically, no, they can't unless you have been in contact with somebody or you have come from abroad and you have the disease. So if you're sick or you've been in contact, they can quarantine and isolate you. If neither of those apply to you, then technically they're out of their jurisdiction.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
But it is a police power, and a police power is very broad, and they can invoke a police power if they, and then the other part, of course, is, are you going to be putting them in fear of their own safety?
That's the get out clause. He was,
the catch-all.
Yeah.
I was afraid for my life. He was breathing.
Bang, bang, shoot the kids, shoot the teenagers. I just saw a video of an 18-year-old saying get pulled over for a citation and got shot in the face and on video, and they defended it because the cop was in fear of his life. So I'm more afraid of or caution and concerned with the state reaction and the government 10 times or 100 times maybe,
yes,
the flu virus is maybe down here, but martial law, because under martial law now they can suspend the Constitution. We all know that's just a one-way unilateral document anyways. Yes. But even if they were obeying it, which they're not, now it's now everything they do is
free for all.
Okay. Yeah, free for all. And so these guys are power hungry. Who knows what they'll do? You know, where is it? I think was it Pittsburgh or Baltimore? They're no longer enforcing the or arresting robberies, thefts, these kind of things. And they said this. So it was like, when you tell the public that, the criminals out there are going to say, great, now I'm going to go take your stuff. Yeah. So
it's a test. Yeah.
So Jacquie, so you think that it would be classified as a martial law type thing, possibly the beginning of next week?
Let's put it this way. I don't want to head up north and be stuck up north and not be allowed back, because I've spent a lot of time getting out of the residency layer, so I couldn't prove that I live here.
Yeah.
I would have a problem. Yeah, I would have no evidence of being able to show where I live. Now you would, yeah. I tackle these problems all the time. And now it was interesting, Nick, when you said that about being in place. You said something about being quarantined in place. So up in San Francisco, as we know, they have kind of a semi-lockdown. Your quarantine, however you want to call it. Problem is they have over 200,000 people that are homeless, right?
Yeah.
So that's where they came up with the quarantine in place. Now, you see, for me personally, I don't agree with being homeless. It's a great term for any of us who understand terminology. I'm an eternal spirit enjoying a human existence. The vessel is my home. Wherever I am, I have a home. So homeless is not a good designation for me. But it will get, if you're out on the street saying you're homeless, as far as the cop's concerned, that may be a good terminology to use. So
yeah.
Anyway. Be safe.
Is it Sunday or Monday that's 322?
Oh,
damn, that's probably Monday.
We gotta remember, they love their numerology.
And what's
322?
322. Why would 322?
Sunday. It's
Sunday. And I am hearing Sunday is the day for the lockdown. Monday, there'll be no travel or anything.
Yep.
That's the number of the skull and bones. I forget the significance of it. Do you know what it is, Shawn?
So it is a Skull and Bones Association out of Yale, I believe.
Okay.
And
yes, secret society.
Yeah, they just like 911 was a significant numerology. 322 is as well.
Wow. That is creepy, dude.
And the 777, like the London bombing, 777. So
it does feel really scary. I mean, when you start to look at this, I mean, look at us. You think about this, the number of us that there are in comparison to them. I mean, but they've kind of neutered us all. Where's our warriors? They put them in jail. They've, given them fluoride. I mean, really, we've been pretty neutered. I just don't know where the answer is. But I'm really hopeful. I really think this is going to be a good thing. I think on the whole, people are going to wake up and go, I like this. I'm learning to fend for myself. I like my kids being home. We can manage this. And I think that this is going to backfire on them ultimately. I'm super optimistic.
Yep. I love that. And actually, Paymon also is in agreement with you, Jacquie.
Really?
I spoke to him because I said, man, because he's out in Florida, right? And so he's like, oh, yeah, not too bad out here. And he said, just like the impeachment trial backfired on Trump, they're like, no, impeach, and then Russia. And now it's like, no, now Trump's going to win in a windfall, or what you call landslide.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that. So he's like, oh, they're going to do this. And he was just mentioning all these other false flags and how it's like a blowback is what Ron Paul, they try to swing it one way and it goes the other way because they're so arrogant and they don't believe in the human spirit and what we're doing. But I love the optimistic viewpoint because I think that's what humanity needs right now. They're in super fear, just like when Nick said, you got to talk to somebody and they like take a step back and you're like, are you serious, dude? Are you serious right now? This is all imaginary. And it's almost like the an indicator of how indoctrinated someone is, you know, like, so if they're like super afraid, you're like, oh, this guy is still in fear. So
Yes.
as conscious beings, you know, we're kind of part of the light workers, or the people out there showing there is hope, there is a way out. And I love what you just said, that like it's going to be good that you're going to spend time with your family. It's going to be good that your kids aren't there. You're creating new habits. So I think that's kind of the narrative I'm going to start working on, because people need the hope. They're so fucking afraid. And it's like, dude, you don't got to be afraid, man. You just have to be educated. You got to be aware, and then start associating with people, you know, like us. And, you know, Nick, maybe talk a little bit about some kind of gathering we'll have for the local people, and you'll probably be invited too, Jacquie. But like, then to get together, have a little barbecue, and start interacting with people, and be like, man, like, it is really going on. I'm just a little bit concerned about the duration of this. So you mentioned Sunday or Monday, something like this. You guys have any intuition, any feeling like how long this is going to go? Like, you know, any like
shutdown is what I'm hearing in regards to some of the county stuff. So we look at county. I like to look at county. They're very informative. I did see 3 cops yesterday. It was interesting. I was going to eat, and 3 cops, we were waiting for them to come out. And it was funny. So we joked with one of them, oh, so you're the reason why we couldn't go in. And he's like, well, I got here first. So I said to him, you know, have you guys heard anything about Monday yet? And they're like, no. It was kind of a nice interaction, you know. I thought it was kind of cool. And you could see they're like as baffled as we are, like, what the heck is going on? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing 30 days, though. I'm seeing kind of, but I'm hoping longer. Do
you think there'll be like some major interruption with the food supply during that time?
There is already.
It's getting started, yeah. How bad is it going to get?
I think, you know, well, let's put it this way. I think there's many people that could lose some weight. Bad part is we can't go out and exercise. Myself is included. I'm looking forward to this side of it as well. These are challenges, guys. These are nothing but challenges. We need to be able to meet the challenge. You know, you heard about this as a kid growing up. If you had any grandparent that was in the war, the things that they were eating and doing, and we all thought they were crazy, or, you know, no, this is it. This is our challenge. I've been waiting for this all my life.
Yeah. We can survive without food. I just did a 9-day liver detox diet, and I was amazed at how it was mentally challenging, but it made me really understand or reevaluate what I'm eating.
I love
how much we need to survive every day. And actually, our bodies are much healthier from a partial starvation diet.
Yes, I had a breatharian on Tuesday. I didn't realize I have a breatharian in my group, and he is in Orange County. And so I'm totally fascinated about the breatharian way of life, and I'm going to have another chat with him on it.
Did you record that one?
Yes, I did. Yes, and I will post it, and I will I'll put your name in it. Yes, he's a breatharian. And so, yeah, I mean, really, these are just challenges. And I truly believe that food is something that limits us. It poisons our body and it limits our mind. So I'm looking forward to these challenges.
We overconsume for sure.
Overconsume. And here's the other thing you were saying about being light workers. I'm super excited about this. There's going to be so many more people waking up and wanting to step out of the system, and we need to be able to say, hey, you know what? We can help you with the fear. There's been at least 3 times I thought I should go to the B ward, you know, that I'd gone crazy. And then you kind of work your way through it. And some people will say, yes, it's crazy. No, we know we're not crazy. And so we need to help these other people that are coming up and just waking up. So I'm super excited about that too.
Yeah, I've heard that term light workers quite often. And I think everybody who was in Acapulco, whether they realized it or not everybody, but a good number of them were light workers. Yes. And David, especially the people who were there with you and I, who ended up in that men's circle, for example. Maybe they didn't realize why they were there, but out of 1,000 people, why did 20 of us end up in that room together with one part? And they're light workers.
Yes.
I actually heard one part, I'll share it later. One part did a live Facebook update today, and I've got through about 10 minutes of it, but he is a really interesting guy. And
he's strong.
yeah, I'll share that. I would love to actually get him on a chat with us sometime. Really interesting, Jacquie. If you didn't get a chance to catch him much, he was up on stage with his wife from New Zealand.
Wonderful.
He's the shaved head, strong looking dude. But he's kind of talking about like you would be saying, Jacquie, like this is our opportunity to grow. This is empowerment. And in the men's circle, we got together. We were like doing the chant, ooh, and like because we got to step into our masculine power, right? Like that's been stolen from us by design. So doing that together as a group was really cool. And yeah, this is our time to actually lead ourselves and lead the people around us and show them that there is a way, there are solutions. Don't stay in fear too long, because that's how they win. That's how they defeat you. And I just saw a quote from Lou Rockwell, which says, once the state loses the grip on your mind, they're finished. They lose. So I think that's another. Yeah, for the fear. Oh, fear. Oh, come, you need us. You need us. And it's like, no, we don't need you at all. We're about to transcend you in all ways, in food, in communication, in money, in health, in relationships. And I think if we can help people get that revelation and that seed, it's super empowering, because then they don't go back into the status system and try to change it on a local level or whatever it is. I don't want to poo-poo people that are trying to do that, but like, we're the ones to help lead ourselves and build relationships. The voluntary village, the voluntary community. This is where humanity's got to go, man. These organizations are out of control. They've been stealing our money. And I do think this is kind of their Hail Mary, as my buddy said. Like, they're going for the Hail Mary, because if this didn't work, imagine if people did not believe them when they're coming out with the CDC and the WHO, and then people are just like, nah, forget it. You guys are liars. Then everybody's just going to move away from them and probably not give them money, via taxes or whatever the licenses and permits, and they'll kind of shrivel up on the vine and go away. So I love the optimism and positivity. I think despite what we might feel and you're still trying to clarify what's happened, I think that's super valuable to find that positivity and optimism, because we're a little bit ahead in the process, but there's still millions and maybe billions of people behind us that are just like, wow, 9/11, wow, vaccines. And you're like, yeah, dude, this rabbit hole goes deep, man. Hang on tight, because this gets crazy.
And you know what's funny about this? So here's the funny thing. So, because we're all in California, right? And we're always getting dogged as being like the state that everyone's ashamed of. It's going to start right here in California, dudes, because our legislature has jumped ship right now. They came in, they passed a couple of bills, and then they all decided to have a vacation. So they're all absent. We've got no local government. We've got no state government. There's the feds, trying to dictate from afar. So we're in the perfect position right now to actually, say enough is enough. We're fine without you. If we can live without you for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we will find a way, and we will. So, and just to go on fear, the word fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, well,
nice.
I wanted to have this chat because I got to be honest. The last couple of days, I have been a little fearful. I think everybody has, and I think, as David mentioned earlier, we want to get together like in person. This is great having these chats, and I would encourage more of these chats using Zoom or FaceTime. But we don't want to wait 12 months for another Acapulco. We've got to form our tribes locally where we live, and I'm going to have an event. I'll use my house in Northern California in Santa Cruz Mountains.
Nice.
And it's not going to be an Acapulco event, but it's going to be, I want to open it up to people who think like us and who want to, look for solutions and form new intentional communities. And so we'll do it as soon as possible. I don't know when, but no one's working. We're locked down. Maybe we have to wait until we're not locked down anymore. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting together with people again as soon as possible.
Awesome. That sounds really good.
Anybody that's in fear right now needs to go out and start a garden or tend to their garden. That's the best thing. That's the best thing.
I'm taking you guys on a walk. Sorry.
It kills a couple birds with one stone. Get outside in nature. Look at that beautiful garden. Yeah,
my God.
Nice.
Yeah.
You man up, start learning how to be self-sufficient. You know, if we educate at home, learn on our own, grow our own food.
Get a couple of chickens.
Yeah, exactly. What else do you need? You know? So what if you can't get your Nike shoes for a few months? So what if you can't, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody really likes going to the mall anyway. I know people do, but those are the same people are going to be in the same bread lines for the National Guard.
Yeah. Well, people our age, people from our age, we've been through hard times before, but we've been through, like my kids, you know, they never really had any hardships in their life. They think that food is unlimited and energy is unlimited, and they've never had to struggle in any way whatsoever. It's going to be interesting how kids going into the marketplace today or the job place are going to some of the challenges that they're going to face.
Yeah. Remember, we heard a while back that a lot of the low-paying jobs were going to disappear to robotics. I think that is probably ramping up full stream now.
I would agree. I think. Yeah.
We're seeing that in our area. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of the jobs taken over. Moreno Valley has been building up a lot of warehouses, and they're not going to be manned by people. Yeah. So we're seeing that a lot.
And that's where it's going to get back to the homesteading life is, you know, homesteading, you know, growing organic food, selling organic food is going to become not only popular, but a necessity.
So across the street from me, we do have some huge fields, and you know, community gardens would be really good. Getting back to that kind of thing. Yeah, it'd be beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you get to know your neighbors and your community, and, you know who to rely on when stuff gets real.
Give them a hug.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. The challenge is the neighbors, you know, like, where I live, I'm not familiar with these neighbors, and there hasn't been a reason to, but like in the farming communities and the rural communities, you actually do know your neighbors because you do kind of look out for them and they look out for you because that's all you got, versus depending on 911 or depending on whatever. So learning to become a good neighbor, learning how to meet your neighbors, and even some of the like health stuff, you know, like how to take care of your colds and these things. I saw you taking a little dropper, Nick. I started just in the last few days because I started to feel some congestion, you know, in my chest, and like I was like, uh-oh, something's coming. So I get some colloidal silver, and I went and got some like reishi mushroom drops, and I drank some apple cider vinegar and stuff. So there's all these little hacks that maybe Shawn knows more about than me, but like there's all these little things to be healthy and that are existing outside of the pharma system, outside of the mainstream hospital system. And so again, kind of sharing tactics and tips and solutions and formulas to be healthy, because, you know, if we get sick, then we're really, you know, incapacitated and can't really contribute to the community or our neighbors, our family. So staying healthy is going to be an important thing. You mentioned 5G. Nick, and that's like, I'm learning about that. I'm just like, man, dude, they could really do some cellular damage, and of course it's untested, but they're just putting it up, you know, all over the place. We could have that conversation later, but like, I think health is going to be one of their weapons, as is fear. I should say sickness would be one of the weapons. Fear is one of their weapons. So we got to counteract that and, you know, share some of these solutions with each other.
Yeah. So, you know, I never really got to talk to you guys about that. So I don't know if you know, but I do frequencies. So, you know, I have several frequency devices. A beamer would be one of them. I know we had those at Acapulco. I love my beamer. I also use something called a frequency microcurrent stimulator, which is an awesome device. I have something called Lakovsky coils. Everyone always loves the Lakovsky coils. Those are like, well, I can actually show you guys Lakovsky coils. Everyone loves those.
Coils.
So right here, I don't know if you can see right to the side of me.
Oh boy, look at that.
Coils right here, and on this side.
Oh.
They actually work scalar. You sit in the middle of them, you set off the device, and it will send scalar waves through you and increase the voltage in your cells. It increases the voltage, so that helps them to replicate. So it's an excellent device. See them there? So anyway, I love my Lakovsky coils.
Is that easy to find, that equipment?
Huh?
Is it easy to find that equipment?
Actually, it's not that easy. No, they were banned. So they were used in hospitals up until 1942. They're like the opposite of chemotherapy in that sense. Instead of lowering the voltage and causing a die-off, these increase voltage and help the good cells to fight off the bad cells. So they were used to fight fatal cancers, and they had a really good, reputation. And then in 1942, Lakovsky was crossing the street and got run over, and they were removed from the hospitals.
Wow.
Did you see the equipment that Clive DeCarl had in Acapulco?
It was pretty cool. I did go and take a quick look. Yes.
I didn't get a chance to ask him what it was. Did you get a chance to actually discuss that?
No, I did not. But I did see the beamer there. Beamer technology is amazing technology. What that does is it opens up the microcirculation in the body and allows for an exchange of like energy, nutrients, increases ATP, increases oxygen. Super cool. Another device that I have is really cool. It's called the frequency microcurrent stimulator. And what that does is that actually it works for different organs, has about 3,000 different types of programs that you can key into it. And I mean, literally for inflammation and stuff, it is amazing. It really is super amazing. Saved my gallbladder.
Maybe you can share any links to that information.
Yeah. I actually have a brochure. I have people that come Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yeah.
Nice.
We've seen some amazing results.
Oh yeah, please share that.
Regarding Clive DeCarl, Nick, I did get that used on me, and I asked him about it. It's called a violet ray.
Okay.
And he uses plasma technology.
Plasma technology. Yeah.
Yep. Tesla, that's his technology. There's also a guy named Rife, R-I-F-E.
Rife.
Yes. Rife.
Yeah, and his stuff got outlawed because it was actually, curing people and ruining the Rockefeller medicine system there. So, but Violet Ray and he like fixes them. They don't manufacture them anymore, but they are discovered, so he fixes them. And then,
you can
it's like
find these old devices on eBay.
Yes,
there are still some of them. They made them from like mid 1912 to about 1918, 1920, and they're considered hocus pocus now, so nobody wants them.
Amazing. Rife machines are amazing. Yeah.
Like the Beamer, I haven't tried the Beamer, but that looks really cool, and it's a similar type of philosophy, I think.
There's a little different. So Rife tends to blow stuff up. Like you can find pathogens. Everything has a certain frequency, and what that does is it kind of destroys the pathogen, destroys the virus, bacteria, fungus, any of those kinds of things. The Beamer operates at 10 and 30 hertz. It's almost like the Earth's own frequencies. And what that does is specifically open up microcirculation. And then, like I said, the FSM works a little different because that one hones in certain frequencies. Like your liver operates at a certain frequency. Your kidneys would be totally different. And so what that does is it will teach the liver to kind of resonate at the correct frequency. So it heals the liver, or it will heal the kidneys. I mean, I've seen amazing things. The types of devices I also have a Rife machine. Mine is a Bendini Rife. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Bendini. Bendini was pretty cool too. But anyway, the Bendini Rife has side bands and hits your entire body with about 10,000 frequencies in very short amount of time. They're fascinating. I love this.
Wow. It's been done by Heather.
Passion. Yes, Heather.
I did get a chance to try the Beamer machine. It was funny, right when I was actually using it, the gentleman who was there with the machine, he got an email or a text message just letting him know that I think it was the feds, the FDA or whoever is in control of that stuff, had literally shut down all imports of those devices into the US.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. He was actually hoping to sell some units while he was there.
Oh, okay.
He said, I can't take any orders right now because I can't get the devices.
Yeah, they come in from Liechtenstein. They're created in Liechtenstein. I've had my Beamer for about 4 years, and it really is a great device. So that's,
how often do you do it? How often do you have a treatment from the Beamer?
Well, the thing is I'm in the area of these things all the time. I like if someone sits in the Lakovsky coils, I can feel them from across the way. So I'm kind of tuned into it. So I'm not a big user myself, but I'm around it all the time. So I also infuse dyes with all these frequencies, and I can dye clothes, so you can actually wear clothes that are infused with the dyes.
Oh, Jackie.
Woo!
You're really out there.
There is a secret side to Jackie. Yeah, kind of a woo-woo.
I knew you were a little different the first time we met each other up in Mendocino, wherever it was.
Yeah, there's a woo-woo side to Jackie.
Well, didn't Tesla say if you look at the universe in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration, you'll tap into the secrets?
That's what it's about. Frequencies are the basics of all living matter, everything. The Lord said, let there be light. It wasn't the light that was first, it was the spoken word. Let there be light.
Well, this conversation's been really fascinating. We've kind of diverted, which has been great. We've gone right away from like Corona, but it's all related to take care of ourselves. But not to change this amazing subject, but just getting back to what's actually happening with regards to the next week or 2 weeks, as far as like, personal preparedness, food and, our communities, travel. Do you have any final thoughts on what we should probably be doing individually just to, protect our families and make the right decisions right now?
You want to go first, Shawn?
You're muted, Shawn. We can't hear you.
I think Shawn, is he still there? I know he is there, yeah.
Go ahead, Shawn.
Okay, here we go. So most of this stuff people should be doing all the time anyway. And you should always have food storage. The farmers back in the 1900s, they always had food storage. And so you should always have food storage. If you're storing food right now, it's a little bit late, but do your best. If somebody's calling you a hoarder, that's their own issue. The next thing is you should always have some kind of water filtration so that if you don't have clean water, you have a way to filter water, whether that's from the most simplest device like a Life Straw or a Berkey filter.
Nice.
The other thing is you really should be boosting up your vitamin D3 and your vitamin C at minimum. That zinc is good, magnesium is good.
Yeah, a little magnesium so you can do the uptake.
And try to get whole food vitamins. So many cheap vitamins are all synthetic, and that's doing more damage than good. If you're taking cheap crap, what you put in is what you get out. So you put cheap crap in, you're going to get cheap effects. And so yeah, I'd say
omega-3s to that maybe too.
Oh yeah, yep.
Avocado.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've been making a point of sitting in the sunlight as much as I can as well.
You guys have sunlight up north?
We have, right? We did today, and I sat outside for 20 minutes. I was just like, "Give me that sunlight." Give me that vitamin D.
So if you're not working, I'd use this time to learn to meditate a little bit more. Learn to clean your house, get your stuff in order. And stay away from the TV as much as possible. Get healthy, when you can get out and get in hikes, and use this downtime, the self quarantine, the what do they call it, David, right now?
Shelter in place.
Yeah, shelter in place. Use the shelter in place time.
one of the
Yeah.
one of the things I was interested in was can we benefit from this financially? What's the next move with Bitcoin?
Oh, here's one.
Like that.
Here's a good one. Some good advice for, so for those of you that have not already thought, been prepared, 9 months from now, there's going to be a baby boom.
Yeah. Nice. That's so true. That's so
Yeah.
true.
So now you've got 9 months to prepare for a nice little business that you can make with the baby boomers.
Great idea, Jackie. Well, it's good for David and his homeschooling for sure.
Yeah, it's homeschooling. Yeah. Oh shoot, we got a whole bunch of newcomers coming in.
Your business is going to be booming.
Yeah.
This takes 5 or 6 years. Maybe we got to become a doula or something. We got to become a midwife.
Okay, so I did have an idea on that. I would love, so any women out there that are, fed up with the birth certificate stuff, I came up with this little plan. If we hop across the border to Mexico, have our babies there, then we have Americans born abroad.
Nice. Yeah.
They are not 14th Amendment citizens, so that, it solves all of our problems.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great.
Don't register. Do you recommend people register or not register? Is it case by case? Is this a little side issue here?
Yeah, don't register them. I mean, if you can have them abroad, don't register them. If you have them here, usually the midwife will register them for you. They will get numbered. They will get, into the statistics. That's what it's about. So,
But not get the social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any, I think we have to stop thinking about how we're going to make money, and really we need to learn how to make relationships. We need to be spending time on, relearning that. We've forgotten. It's a forgotten craft.
This is a great time for that, for sure.
Yeah, I did buy like a chessboard, draft board. So we're ready. We're good for the games, and I love to win. Oh
I bet you're good at chess. Yeah, but you're right. Going forward, the technology allows us to meet each other, but then to actually build relationships is a real opportunity, and the way of the future. Like, we can have all the tech, but like, how about human interactions? Yeah, and like in live community, I think is going to be very, very attractive. So whether people get their land and do their thing, this is kind of the challenge of, now you get together with somebody and now you're like, okay, now we're around each other. So how do I be a good dude, a good gal to my neighbor? So this is now, I think, going to become more important. Like, how do you become a good neighbor? Like, we don't even know each other. So what do you do? And respecting people and their own differences and eccentricities and stuff like that. Like, dude, you're a human, but still we got to help each other and become related again.
Yeah, it's a challenge though, because when you've kind of gone through your awakening process and you look at your community, it sometimes it's not that easy to seek out those people who you can really align with. And some people are really hard on Facebook and using Facebook because we're all being spied upon. And I tell them, you're really missing out, because I've met hundreds, if not thousands of people and gone to discovered events like in Acapulco that I would never have been able to have happened if it hadn't been for using Facebook to form groups and alliances. But you're right. At this time now, it's really important for us to connect with our real life neighbors and just check in on them. And many of them need help.
There is one other thing that is kind of a little concern, and I don't want to end on a bum note, but, I think that they may be preparing for something more during this time. So we may want to also, we could use this time wisely, making those connections, getting ready to help people so that we are, when we hit the ground, we're running, and not just wondering what the heck.
Yeah, there's lots of elderly people out there who they have no clue. This conversation to them would be really foreign, and they're just getting they're getting their news. They're programmed by CNN and Fox News 24 hours a day, and they're going to be they could be blindsided. They don't know what's happening. They're just living in fear.
So you're the same age as me, Nick, and so you must see the same thing. Like, aren't we so far away from our parents? Don't you think it's so weird? Our parents were so naive, and when you think about the 70s.
Oh boy, the information that we've downloaded just in a single.
It was so funny,
in a
huh?
single hour, we've got access to more information than my dad. He would get back from work and he'd sit down, have dinner, he'd switch on the 9 o'clock news. Within 10 minutes, he'd be snoozing. he'd be fast asleep, poor guy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
quite different lifestyles. Yeah.
Different. But there's still a lot of people who live like that. I mean, I know this has been recorded. My in-laws and certain people will never see it, but you walk into some people's houses, they have the TV on.
TV on 24/7.
It's just running in the background. You go to an airport, CNN is just running in the background. Wherever you look, this CNN or Fox, just this download. It's how they keep the masses, compliant and obedient.
Yeah, that with fluoride and a few other things. Yep.
All the attacks on our mind. Hey, but when we free our mind, we free ourselves. So, focus on voluntary relationships and consent. Hey, man, freedom is the answer. And I'm so glad to connect with you guys and get some ideas on what you guys are thinking about, So, yeah, maybe we'll do this again next week or something, and then maybe get together in real life and keep it going, and try to find the light at the end of the tunnel, because this won't last forever. And I think they're reaching. I think the state and the cabal are in a state of fear. I think this is kind of their big move. Hopefully they're crossing their fingers and say, I hope the people just obey. But as we start getting more bold and courageous, I think other people will see it and look for good, peaceful solutions. Yeah, and they'll be like, fuck it, dude. We don't need the state. Let's transcend.
Let's transcend. Let's keep kids home. Let's keep those gardens going, and that's it. I agree.
Yes.
All right.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks you guys. I think as Jackie just said, there could be something bigger at play here, and
yes.
We don't quite know what it is yet, because they're being real sneaky on this one, and we don't. I mean, I wanted to have this conversation just to brainstorm ideas, so we're not, like a deer in the headlamps, and it just caught us. We got blindsided by what they're really planning here, because the virus is a cover-up for something else. And was it covering up the financial implosion that could really, really get ugly, or what's really going on? I'm not too sure. But Shawn, you were just going to say something, I think.
Yeah, I do think it's a cover for the economy failing.
Me too.
And once you read about G. Edward Griffin and understand that it's a debt-based system based on our labor, and it's all, you can't have currency out of a promise to pay. How am I going to ever pay you back if it's all on promises? They're all promissory notes. It's all promises, and the promises are come and due, and it's a system set up for failure from the very start.
Yeah.
And it's failing. It's finally failing. So no matter how many trillions they can inject, how many trillions they can inject in the repo, how much helicopter money that they're going to give, $1,000 to every citizen, it's all going to be worthless paper very, very soon. And what's going to be of value is what we can produce, and producing for our families is number one.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Shawn, yeah. Good advice, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone. Did we want to wrap this up?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Jackie, thanks for joining us, Jackie. You're such just an amazing source of information on so many different facets of life.
So cool.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
Jackie of all trades, mistress of none.
Yeah. Well, I believe you anyway. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm a fan.
Thank you. All right then. Bye everyone.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Jackie. See you next week, Shawn. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Peace and love, man. Freedom worldwide.